Hi, take two. I've tried this before and it failed, but hopefully this time it will work. Excusing the errors, rather than re-record, I'm just going to keep going. Um, I can't be there today, but I'm a massive supporter of anything that is trying to stop the damage, to preserve, conserve, and protect remnant bushland in general, to tree plant, to restore the land. Um, I live on Balladong Noongar land in a place we call Jamtree Gully in the about 20 k's north of Tujay. And we see the damage on a vast scale. We've spent many years trying to restore the land to some kind of health whilst acknowledging traditional ownership of the land. And when I was a kid, growing up, I spent a lot of time on Wheatlands Farm, about 20 k's out of York, which was run by my uncle and auntie and my cousins. I spent a lot of time there, and there was a vast area of salinity, salt scald, caused by overclearing. But my family, over a period of 30 or 40 years, it's one of the earliest programs in the state, tree planted and gradually pulled the salt back. So I had the good fortune of seeing that land restoration can work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read 4 poems. 3 of them are from selected poems, Drowning in Wheat. A lot of the poems in there are concerned with environmental issues and with rural Western Australia indeed. And I'm going to finish with a poem called Euphoria, which I've written specifically for this occasion. And I do think that we need to acknowledge traditional owners. We need to work with Aboriginal peoples on how best to restore the land. They know, they have the knowledge. They said all along when settlers / invaders came that there are ways of interacting with the land, and it wasn't listened to. So we can listen now. Those of us who are not of Aboriginal heritage can listen, and those of us who are, please speak, as I know you do, because Australian land, your land, has as much need now as ever, if not more, and that I think is the best hope restoration of damaged land has. A conversation with Aboriginal people, with non-Aboriginal people who are running and farms and these kind of spaces of agriculture. So I'm going to start with a poem sequence called Finches. It's written when I was very young, and it's about a stand of needle bush actually in the middle of a big salt scald that had been surrounded by tamarisks planted by my family to try and stop the salt getting it. Now, tamarisks, of course, were an introduced species from the eastern states, but mainly on the salt they planted local species. Anyway, as a kid, I used to go down and sit with these finches in the salt. Finches, salt paddocks. Down below the dam there is nothing but salt, a slow encroachment. Fighting back, my cousins have surrounded it with a ring of trees. At its centre lives a colony of finches buried in tamarisks. Finch colony. The leaves, like wire, are so tangled we dare not venture too far into their heart, where flashes of song and dull colour betray a whole family of finches. We hold our breath and become statues. Is this fear of disturbing their peace, or of a delicate raid from unknown spaces? Finch flight. To join the finch in his tenuous kingdom amongst tamarisks, the hot snow of salt, you must gather trajectory and direction, sharp summer flights. Exile yourself from the wind's hand. Finch death. The dead finch lies on salt, tight-winged and stretched. The others shimmer loosely in heat, the salt's white mystery coveting tin cans, skull of sheep. Slowly, death rides this hot glacier further and further away. The next poem is about an old bloke. I knew or knew of who had this magnificent spread, as he called it, of treed land, and he just stripped everything off it. He didn't leave anything. And this is the consequence. Why had they stripped the last trees from the banks of the creek? They stripped the last trees from the banks of this creek 20 years ago. The old man couldn't stand the thought of bare paddocks with a creek covered by trees slap bang in the middle of them. A kind of guilt, I guess. Anyway, he was old and we humoured him. Chains, rabbit rippers, chainsaws. We cleared those banks until the water ran a stale sort of red, until salt crept into the surrounding soaks. Furious he was. The salt left lines on the bath. The soap wouldn't lather. Go figure. And this one, which has great meaning to me, called Parrot Deaths. When I was a kid, I mean, I've been a vegan animal rights person for the last 34 years. But growing up, I spent a lot of time, as I said, on the farm, and I did a lot of farm activities. I mean, I trapped and I shot things. And I used to shoot 28 parrots, ringneck parrots, and it horrifies me now. I love these birds. I loved them as a kid, so it made no sense at all. And I've spent the last 40 years really trying to write about this and about the pain I caused creatures, and the pain also, it just causes the fabric of the universe, basically. Unnecessary killing. No killing is necessary. And this is about parrots. I've written many poems about parrots, and about parrots being hit on roads by grain trucks. I worked on wheat bins and so on, and have worked the harvest, and I've also seeded and ploughed and seeded as well. Done those kind of jobs. That's what I did for my early working years, and so this reflects on that. Parrot deaths. 1. Parrot deaths aren't mentioned on this stretch of road, especially in summer, when vast scoured fields leave only trees on the road, long thin shadows that sprout rosellas and 28s in families, when foliage is the emerald green of chests exploding their small fists against the windows of the car. 2. Or cracked under the wheel, spread eagle, the sharp skull crack auguring spilt grain from the gravel or brief stretches of asphalt. Harvesting the write-offs, the contractors thumping their trucks over the potholes and corrugations on their way to the silos. Either gold, orange or blood-red sunsets erase death. 3. U-turn or reverse, scrape the red breast of a rosella into the palm of your hand. From here it's only a matter of moments before breath suspends its downward slide. Brief glance of startled wonder, the head lapsing into the swings of a slow pendulum, its wise-cracking beak a husk for the salted kernel of its tongue, still too tight to let death loose. So you'll have heard references in there to parrots from the south of the state as well, because I lived for long periods in the southwest, on the edge of grain-growing areas and so on. So I've moved around the wheat belt from one end to the other over the years, though I've been where I've been for a long time now. I'm going to finish with this poem, Euphoria, written for The Last Stand. It's about my sort of, I suppose, the plant I connect most with, which is the jam tree, Acacia acuminata, Munga in Belladongonga. So this is called Euphoria. For the last stand, resistance, and for a moderately salt-tolerant wattle. It's only moderately salt-tolerant. Salt will kill it, but it lasts a lot longer than most things. The first jam tree blossom has arrived at Jam Tree Gully. Getting inside the blossom and dousing in pollen without causing damage, that's the euphoria, to carry the legacy and increase the bounty, to share with insects and the infrastructure of thornbills, who each year nest around mistletoe, subletting. Euphoria. As the eating away at edges accumulations merge with the wholesale fire sale clearances, the emergence of those yellow lash rollers is cause for transformation. Fast growing, nipped in early days by ruse but coming back unassisted, the basis of eternity is built out of their temporariness. Euphoria. My childhood of salinity is not just a memory, it's an object lesson in bringing back from the brink. Rallies who knew the jam tree and needle bush are part of the comeback. But hell can at least be partially unravelled and restitution made. A rain of pollen and seeds and lichen overalls. The work of restoration is driven, more driven than the lazy fantasy of clearing, the sweat built up from erasure. But euphoria is preventative and a restorative medicament. It takes you out there to see a prospect is worth nothing in soul or flesh when forced. Without interruption, tree lines, stands of bush are vision. In the rush to maximise the quota of wheat, the mutuality of coexistence and sharing is lost, as in the not so long run is the wheat. This country knows better, knows best. Its people will tell you, if you listen. Euphoria can be staying who you are and tuning into the blossoming. Even the depilation of blossom onto ground and windows and machinery and fur and feather and skin is a counteractive depilation you might learn from. Two-way mirror of the wheat belt, the euphoria of jam tree blossoming. Yes, yes, learn from Mungar, from Acacia acuminata, the mantra, the chant, the tree's own euphoria, a guide away from despolation. So you have a good and fruitful time. May good decisions be made, and may the land be thought about and protected. And we've all got to act together. Farmers, poets, obviously elders of the community. Respect has to be shown to people and to the land. And I wish you well. This is from a hotel room. That's what you can see in the background. Bye.